It was supposed to be a regular Tuesday, the kind you forget about even while you're living it. The morning air was thick, the kind that sticks to your skin, and I had just parked my truck outside of Mason's Hardware to grab some parts for the sink I still hadn't fixed. It had been leaking for months, ever since I moved into the condo across town. No one to complain about it but me. No one to hear the dripping but me. That's how it had been for 6 years. 6 years since she disappeared into someone else's life. The sound of tires over gravel snapped my attention toward the parking lot entrance. A silver SUV turned in, sleek and unfamiliar, but something in the way it moved made my stomach roll. I don't even know what it was. Maybe the precise way it turned into the spot. Maybe nothing. But when the door opened and she stepped out, the world stopped. Emily. She didn't look like a ghost. She didn't look like a memory. She looked like she was exactly where she wanted to be. She wore these black sunglasses that probably cost more than my whole toolkit. Her hair was longer now, lighter. Her posture said everything hers had always said when she thought she was above everyone else. A kind of sharp grace that cut the air when she walked. She popped the back of the SUV and pulled out a plastic bin full of what looked like kids' soccer gear. Then I saw her. A girl, 5, maybe 6, jumped down from the back seat, brown hair tied in 2 little braids. She grabbed a bright blue ball and skipped ahead, calling, "Mom! Hurry up!" That word, that sound. I felt it like a kick to the gut. I hadn't seen Emily since the night she chose her boss over me, left the key on the kitchen table, and told me with no shame in her voice that this wasn't working, while she adjusted the strap of the dress she probably wore for him. She never looked back, never checked in, not even a text. No closure, just silence like the years we had didn't mean a thing. I hadn't moved. My hands were braced on the steering wheel. No blood in my fingers, just pressure. She saw me. She didn't flinch, didn't look away, just stared like I was some distant memory she hadn't expected to run into while running errands. She took off her sunglasses slowly, like this was her moment to control. She walked toward me. I got out, legs stiff. I didn't say her name, didn't say anything. My chest burned. She smirked. "Well, this is surreal," she said. Her voice hadn't changed, still laced with that smugness. Still sounded like she'd rehearsed everything to sound casual. "What the hell are you doing here?" I asked. She shrugged like it was nothing. "We just moved back last month. Mark got transferred. Thought we'd settle here for a while. You look exactly the same." Mark, the guy she used to sneak around with. The one who was just helping her with work stuff. When she'd leave the house in makeup she never wore for me. The one who stole my life in a string of dim hotel rooms and secret calendars. She nodded toward the kid. "That's Savannah." The name rattled around in my brain. She didn't say anything else. No apology. No explanation. Like the last 6 years didn't need context. I couldn't stop staring at the girl. She had Emily's eyes, but that hair brown like mine. Emily noticed. Her smirk dropped a little. "Don't," she warned quietly. "Don't even go there." But I already had. Next, I didn't move. I didn't blink. I just stood there, staring at that little girl while my brain tried to claw through 6 years of silence, betrayal, and half-healed wounds. Savannah was kicking her ball in a crooked circle on the pavement, humming to herself, completely unaware that the man standing 10 feet away might be her father. Emily stepped between us like she could block the thought from forming in my head. "She's not yours," she said quickly. Too quickly. I didn't respond right away. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She had that edge in her tone, the one she always used when she was hiding something. The same tone she used the night I found her text thread with Mark and she tried to make me feel crazy for reading what was in plain sight. "You sure about that?" I asked, voice low. Her jaw clenched. "Positive." I laughed once, dry and sharp. "Funny. She looks a hell of a lot more like me than him." Emily's eyes flicked toward her daughter, then back to me. She folded her arms. "Don't do this, Ryan. You have no right to suddenly show up and play the victim. You were never enough. You never pushed yourself. You just coasted through life like everything would work out on its own. Mark was ambitious. He had vision. You were content to fix sinks and watch football. I felt the old anger churn. And what, that gave you a hall pass? That's your excuse for blowing up our marriage? She raised a brow, smirking like it was beneath her. Our marriage was already over. You just didn't notice. I took a step forward, lowering my voice so Savannah wouldn't hear. You didn't even have the decency to end it before you started sleeping with your boss. She rolled her eyes. Don't be dramatic. It wasn't just about that. Then what was it about? I snapped. Because I gave you everything I had, Em. I supported you through every job change, every meltdown, every time you doubted yourself. And all I got in return was a wife who couldn't keep her lies straight. She didn't flinch. You want to know what it was really about? I was bored. You were predictable. He wasn't. That silenced me. Not because I didn't believe her, but because I did. And it stung worse than anything else she could have said. Savannah ran up between us then, tugging at her hand. Can we go, Mommy? I'm hungry. Emily knelt down and whispered something in her ear. The girl looked up at me with innocent curiosity and waved. I didn't wave back. Couldn't. As they turned and walked away, I stood there, numb, watching the woman who destroyed me stroll off with a child that might have been mine. A child she never told me about. And I knew right then I wasn't letting this go. The next 48 hours were a blur of noise I couldn't turn down. Everything felt half real. I went through the motions, coffee, work calls, bills, but my mind kept looping back to her face. Her voice, that little girl's wave. And most of all, that smug line she tossed over her shoulder before leaving. She's not yours. She said it like she was shutting a door. But I knew better. That door had never really closed for her. She just locked it from the inside and waited for me to go away. That night, I pulled out the old box. Taped up. Unlabeled. The one I swore I'd throw out 100 times. Inside, the last remains of what we were. Our wedding photo. Her scribbled, I love you notes from when we still played house. A gold bracelet I gave her on our 5th anniversary that she probably pawned off for hotel wine with Mark. And at the very bottom, my copy of the insurance paperwork. Emily's social security number. Date of birth. Old job title. That was all I needed. I didn't want to believe I'd actually do it. But I did. I called my buddy, Joel, used to work IT, now freelanced in skip tracing and finding people who didn't want to be found. DNA test? He asked, no judgment in his voice. Just matter of fact. Yeah, I said, barely recognizing my own voice. I need to know if Savannah's mine. You know she's gonna lose her mind if she finds out, he said. She blew up mine years ago, I said flatly. Let's even the score. Joel got to work. All I had to do was get close enough to grab a hair or a swab. And that meant seeing them again. It didn't take long. Saturday morning, I staked out the same soccer field she brought Savannah to the day we ran into each other. I waited in my truck with the AC off, sweat sticking my shirt to my back. I watched car after car pull up, and then hers, on time, of course, always punctual when it made her look good. Savannah ran out first, laughing, clutching that blue ball again. Emily followed with a fold-out chair and her phone in hand, completely distracted. This was my chance. I walked over slow. My steps felt like thunder on the pavement, though no one else even glanced at me. Ryan? She said, instantly annoyed. What the hell are you doing here? Just wanted to watch a game. You used to like it when I showed up to things. Her eyes narrowed. Don't play this angle. You have no right to show up uninvited. I have every right if she's mine. Emily looked around like she wanted to cause a scene, but couldn't afford the attention. She leaned in. Back off. This isn't some soap opera. Could have fooled me, I said, smiling just enough to piss her off. Before she could fire back, Savannah ran up holding a water bottle and a scrunchie. Mommy, can you help me with my hair? Emily crouched down, and in that second, while she was focused on tying the braids tighter, I reached out and gently plucked a stray hair off Savannah's jersey sleeve, slid it into my pocket like I'd done nothing at all. See you around, I said, and turned before she could chase me down. Later that night, Joel met me in his garage. I handed him the hair in a Ziploc. He didn't ask questions, just nodded and said, "You'll know in 3 days." 3 days, and every second of it felt like holding my breath underwater. The waiting was a special kind of torture. I barely slept. Every dream I had twisted into a scene I didn't want to see. One night it was Emily holding Savannah's hand as they both waved at me from a front porch I didn't recognize. The next night, I was the one knocking on a door that never opened. 3 days dragged by. Couldn't eat. Couldn't think straight. Everything around me blurred while one thought screamed louder than the rest. What if she's mine? Then, at exactly 6:27 p.m. on the third night, my phone lit up. "Joel, results are in. Come now." I didn't even grab my keys. I ran out the door. His garage was already open. He was sitting on a folding chair, staring down at a laptop screen with a beer untouched beside him. That alone told me the answer before he said a word. I walked straight to him. "Tell me." He turned the screen toward me. The PDF was open. Probability of paternity: 99.9987%. I didn't speak. He said it for me. "She's yours, Ryan." My knees buckled. I grabbed the edge of the workbench and just stood there, bracing myself against the weight of the truth. Savannah, my daughter. She had been out there living a life I wasn't allowed to be a part of because her mother decided I wasn't interesting enough. "She never told me," I said. "She knew. All this time." Joel nodded slowly. "Looks that way." I left without saying much else. Just drove. I didn't know where I was going until I pulled into the same field where I first saw them. It was late now, empty. Only the hum of the streetlights and the quiet echo of everything that had been stolen from me. I sat there for an hour, then two. The rage didn't hit all at once. It simmered, low and steady, like a fuse finally catching. I could see it all now. The way Emily had looked at me that day. The way she'd brushed it off with a smirk. She wasn't just keeping a secret. She was playing a role in a life she built on top of the ruins of mine. She decided I didn't deserve to know I had a daughter. She made that choice for me. And now I was going to make some choices of my own. Next move, talk to a lawyer. Not because I wanted revenge. Because I wanted my daughter to know the truth. The next morning, I walked into the law office of Grace Heller, family attorney, known around Raleigh for being precise, relentless, and completely unbothered by anyone's drama. Exactly what I needed. I sat across from her in a room that smelled like pine cleaner and old paper, and I laid it all out. The affair, the divorce, the no contact, the random encounter 6 years later, and the DNA test that confirmed Savannah was mine. Grace didn't flinch. She just nodded, took notes, and asked questions like she was assembling a case file for a war. "Do you want full custody?" she asked plainly. That stopped me cold. "I don't know," I said. "I haven't even talked to her. She doesn't know me. Hell, I didn't even know she existed until a few days ago." Grace leaned forward. "Ryan, you can't unknow this. You're her father. You don't have to decide everything right now. But if you want any part in her life, we have to move quickly. Especially if the mother's not cooperative." Cooperative. That was one word I'd never used to describe Emily. I left Grace's office with a folder full of legal options and a heart weighed down by reality. This wasn't just about Emily anymore. This was about a kid, my kid, who had a right to know who her father was. I tried calling Emily 3 times. Voicemail. Each one. On the 4th call, she picked up. "What?" she said immediately. No greeting. "You lied to me," I said. "You looked me in the face and lied." "I told you she wasn't yours," she said flatly. "You decided not to believe me. I had her DNA tested." Silence. "Then, you did what?" "I have proof. She's mine." Emily let out a bitter laugh. "You really haven't changed, have you? Always needing to know. Always digging around like you're owed something." "I was owed something," I snapped. "The truth. A chance to be her father. You robbed me of that. She doesn't know you. She's happy. She has a stable life. I did what was best for her." "No," I said, my voice dropping. "You did what was best for you. You didn't want to deal with what you did. So you erased me. Her voice hardened. If you think I'm going to let you come in now and screw up everything, you don't get to let me, I interrupted. I'm her father. That's not optional. That's not something you get to hide. Silence again. Then, you really want to do this? You want to drag her through a custody case? Lawyers, courtrooms, because you can't handle that I moved on. She deserves the truth, I said. And I'm not going away. She hung up. I stared at the dead line, the screen still glowing in my hand. That was her answer. The war had officially begun. The court papers were filed within a week. Grace moved fast, with the kind of confidence that made it clear she dealt with people like Emily before. Narcissists who rewrite history to make themselves the hero in every version of the story. Manipulators who hide behind what's best for the child, while playing God with someone else's life. We filed a petition to establish legal paternity and secure visitation rights. Grace told me to prepare for resistance, and she wasn't wrong. Emily retaliated fast. Within 3 days of being served, she submitted a statement to the court. Full of the same polished poison charm I remembered. Claimed I was emotionally unstable, that I'd ambushed her and Savannah in public, that I harassed her with unwanted contact. She even attached some old texts I sent during our divorce. Angry ones, back when I still didn't know how deep her betrayal went. Out of context, they looked bad. She knew that. She's building a wall of lies, Grace said, flipping through the packet. But here's the thing about walls. The truth doesn't knock. It breaks through. In the middle of all this, something happened I didn't expect. I got a call from Mark. I almost didn't answer when I saw the number, but curiosity won out. Ryan, he said, voice quiet, like he wasn't sure if I'd yell or hang up. What do you want? She told me what's going on, he said. About Savannah, the test. I said nothing. He sighed. Look, I didn't know. She never told me there was a chance she wasn't mine. There it was, the confession, the fracture in their perfect story. She lied to both of us, he added. She made me believe I was her father. You still living with her? I asked. There was a pause. No, I moved out 2 weeks ago. We've been bad for a while. I think seeing you again just sped it up. I didn't know whether to feel vindicated or just sick. I'm not calling to defend her, he continued. But Savannah's a good kid. She's smart, sensitive. She loves animals. She sleeps with this old stuffed dolphin I gave her when she was a baby. And she's never once asked where her real dad is. My throat tightened. I know I'm not her biological father, Mark said. But I've been the only one she's known. So I'm just saying, don't hurt her because you want to get back at Emily. I hung up. I didn't owe him a conversation. Not after what he did. But I couldn't shake his words. Savannah didn't ask for any of this. She was the one innocent person caught in the wreckage of everything her mother destroyed. And now she had to deal with 2 men, one who raised her under false assumptions, and one who was a ghost suddenly demanding space in her world. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the dark, holding the only photo I had of her. A blurry snapshot I took on my phone from that first day at the field. And I asked myself the question I hadn't been ready to face until now. Am I trying to be her father? Or just prove something to the woman who ruined me? I didn't answer that question right away. I let it sit with me for a few days, the way a bruise lingers under the skin. Silent but sore every time you touch it. Then came the hearing. It was a gray morning, just damp enough to make everything feel heavier. The courthouse smelled like old carpet and tension. I wore the same navy blazer I'd bought for my sister's wedding. Emily showed up 15 minutes late, dressed like she was headed to brunch. Not a custody case. She didn't look at me when she walked in, but I felt her, the way you feel a storm coming from miles away. Savannah wasn't there, of course. Just lawyers, legal aides, and a judge with tired eyes. Grace was sharp and surgical. She laid out the timeline, the DNA results, the months of deception. And then Emily's attorney stood up and turned the whole thing into a circus. He painted me as unstable, claimed I was motivated by vengeance, and emotionally incapable of providing a safe environment. He even referenced my therapy sessions from years ago, when I was trying to claw my way out of the black hole she left me in. Grace countered fast, but it still cut deep. The courtroom felt colder after that. Then Emily took the stand. She lied. Effortlessly. She said I had anger issues, that I used to shut down emotionally, and that she didn't tell me about Savannah because she was afraid for her safety. She even choked up, dabbed her eyes with a tissue like she was playing a role she'd rehearsed 100 times in front of the mirror. I stared at her the whole time, waiting for a single flicker of truth. But there was nothing, just ice. When it was my turn to speak, I didn't read the notes Grace gave me. I stood up and told the truth. I didn't come here to get back at Emily, I said. I came because I learned, by accident, that I have a daughter. And once I knew that, I couldn't pretend I didn't. I've lost 6 years already. I don't want to take her away. I just want to know her. I want her to know who I am. The judge didn't say much, just nodded, jotted a few notes. The hearing ended with a temporary order. Supervised visitation, pending further review. Grace said it was the best we could have hoped for under the circumstances. I walked out of that courtroom with a storm inside me. Not rage, just this heavy, dragging ache. 6 years. A child I hadn't known existed. A woman who turned motherhood into a weapon. But beneath all of that was something new. Purpose. I had one foot in her world now, and I wasn't backing out. The first supervised visit was set for the following Saturday at 10 a.m., inside a plain room at the Family Outreach Center. It was sterile, quiet, filled with a few kids' toys and too many chairs. A woman named Brenda was the assigned monitor. Kind voice, clipboard in hand, the kind of presence meant to make things comfortable when nothing about it was. I showed up early, wore a collared shirt, brought a book about dolphins. Joel had told me Savannah liked them. My hands wouldn't stop sweating. At 10:07, I heard the door open behind me. I stood. She walked in holding Savannah's hand. Emily. She didn't say a word, just gave me one of those thin, tight smiles, like she was playing along for the court. Her eyes said something else entirely. Don't think this means you're in. Savannah looked up at me. Not scared, not exactly curious, just polite, guarded, like she'd been told to be careful. Her eyes were wide, her grip on her mother's hand tight. But she stepped forward when Brenda introduced me as Mr. Ryan. I knelt down to her level. Hey, Savannah. I'm really glad to see you. She looked at me, then at Brenda. Are you my dad? The question gutted me. Emily flinched but didn't speak. I nodded slowly. Yes, I am. Savannah stared for a beat longer, then said, Do you like dolphins too? I smiled. Yeah, I think they're pretty awesome. That was the beginning. Emily sat stiffly in the corner, arms folded. Her presence was like a shadow clinging to the wall, but Savannah seemed to tune it out after a while. I showed her the book, pointed out the bottlenose dolphin and the spinner dolphin. She asked questions. Bright, excited ones. She told me about a dolphin plushie she named Flipper Jr. She was smart, funny, a little shy but curious. And mine. We played for an hour. Then the timer went off. Brenda stood. Savannah looked disappointed. Already? I nodded. But I'll see you next time. She hugged the dolphin book to her chest, then did something I didn't expect. She walked over and gave me a small, quick hug. It was light, brief, but real. Emily stood up fast, took her hand. Say goodbye, honey. Savannah waved as they left. I didn't move for a long time after the door closed. I just stood there, staring at the little scuff marks she left on the floor with her sneakers. My chest felt like it might crack open. Pride, sadness, rage at what was stolen. But for the first time in 6 years, I had something to hold onto that wasn't just pain. I had a beginning. The second visit was easier. Not easy, just less like walking a tightrope with knives hanging over my head. Savannah came in with a sketchbook this time, said she wanted to show me her drawings. Dolphins again, but also cats and a few shaky stick figures. She pointed to one. That's me, and that's Mommy, and that's Mark. And I didn't know what you looked like, so I didn't draw you. I blinked. Well, you do now. She smiled. Maybe I'll add you next time. Emily wasn't in the room this time. Brenda said she'd chosen to wait outside. It was a tactical move, I could feel it. She wanted to look like she was cooperating for the court's sake. But I didn't care. Her silence gave Savannah space. And that space was everything. We read together, played a board game. She beat me twice. Once because she was clever, and once because she cheated and I pretended not to notice. The hour passed too fast. At the end, I gave her a small plush dolphin. Not flashy, just something soft, with a tag that read, "For Savannah, from Dad." She hugged it without hesitation. That word, Dad. It hung in the air between us, raw and fragile. After they left, Brenda handed me her notes for the court. "You're doing good," she said. "Just keep showing up." But it wasn't that simple. That night, I got an email from Emily. Short, cold. "You're confusing her. She's been asking questions I can't answer without making this worse. Back off." I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied, "You had 6 years to tell her the truth. Now she's learning it herself. That's not confusion. That's clarity." She didn't respond. But 2 days later, Mark called again. "I'm just going to say it," he said. "Emily's unraveling. She's angry all the time, snapping at Savannah, drinking more. She's scared." "Of losing control?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. "And maybe losing her." I didn't answer, because deep down I knew he was right. This wasn't just about a custody agreement anymore. This was about a little girl who deserved more than being stuck between a lie and a grudge. And Emily? She wasn't going to give up her grip without a fight. Emily's unraveling wasn't just something Mark hinted at. It became visible. At the third supervised visit, Savannah came in quiet. Her usual bounce was missing. She clutched the dolphin plush tightly, eyes scanning the room like she was expecting something bad to happen. She sat down beside me and didn't speak for almost 5 minutes. Brenda picked up on it immediately. "Everything okay at home, sweetheart?" Savannah shrugged. "Mommy cried last night. A lot. She said people want to take me away." I felt my stomach twist. "I told her I didn't want to go away," Savannah added quickly, looking up at me. "Are you taking me away?" "No, sweetie," I said, soft but firm. "I would never do anything to scare you. I just want to spend time with you. That's all." She nodded, small and uncertain. Then she whispered, "I think Mommy's mad at you." "She might be," I said, "but that's not your fault. Grown-ups sometimes don't handle things the right way." She blinked at that like she was trying to decide whether I was one of the grown-ups who did handle things right. After the visit, Brenda pulled me aside. "This might need to escalate. The emotional stress is showing." Grace didn't waste time. She filed an emergency petition to request a psychological evaluation on Emily. Nothing aggressive, just a standard wellness check in custody cases where one parent shows signs of instability. It lit the match. Emily exploded. She called me in the middle of the night, drunk, crying, then suddenly furious. "You're poisoning her," she spat. "You think this is going to make her love you more than me?" "This isn't about you," I said calmly. "This is about her. And you're not okay. Everyone sees it. Even Mark." Her voice broke. "You think you can just take everything from me like I did to you? Is that it? You took something I never even got the chance to hold," I said. "This isn't revenge. This is justice." She hung up. 2 days later, she didn't show up to the next visit. Brenda waited. So did I. Savannah never came. I called Grace. Grace called the court. And by Monday morning, we were in front of a judge again. Emily claimed she was sick, that Savannah was overwhelmed, that this process is damaging. The judge wasn't impressed. He issued a temporary change, increased visitation with me, unsupervised, and he scheduled a home inspection for Emily's house. The tide was shifting, and for the first time, I saw what it looked like when someone who spent their life controlling the story finally started losing control of the ending. The home inspection did exactly what I suspected it would. It tore the mask off. The report came back quietly but firmly damning. The inspector noted tension in the household, a highly agitated maternal presence, and an emotional climate not conducive to a stable upbringing. Translation: Emily was spiraling, and Savannah was stuck inside that spiral with nowhere to run. It wasn't abuse. Not physical. Not the kind you photograph. But it was chaos. Enough for the judge to make a call. I was granted temporary shared custody. 50%. The first night Savannah slept at my place, she walked through every room like she was stepping into a story she wasn't sure she belonged in. She paused at the hallway photos I'd hung earlier that week. Pictures of the two of us from our visits, one of her at the field with her dolphin plush, another of me holding a book open while she pointed to a cartoon whale. "Did you make this wall for me?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah, I did." She smiled. "It looks happy." I almost broke then. The honesty in that sentence hit harder than anything Emily ever said in the courtroom. We made mac and cheese. She insisted we eat on the couch while watching a dolphin documentary. She talked during the whole thing, told me how dolphins sometimes get sad, how they stay with each other when one is hurt. She asked if people were supposed to be like that too. "Yeah," I said quietly. "That's the idea." Later, when I tucked her in, she held onto my hand longer than I expected. "Are you gonna be here tomorrow?" "I'll be here every time you want me to be," I said. She nodded, rolled onto her side, eyes closed within minutes, and I sat on the edge of that bed for a long time watching her sleep, listening to the sound of her breath, a sound I never knew I was missing until I had it. Outside that room, Emily's world was burning. She was calling people, making threats, whispering to whoever would still listen about betrayal and injustice and manipulation. But inside my home, it was still. For the first time in years, still. That night, Mark texted me. "I think you're doing the right thing. She's better off with you." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The war Emily started was winding down. She just didn't know it yet. The final hearing wasn't loud. There weren't fireworks or screaming matches or public breakdowns. It was quieter than I expected, like everyone knew the ending, and the judge was just there to turn the last page. Emily showed up in a navy suit she'd never worn before. She looked tired, not the kind of tired makeup fixes, tired in the bones. Her eyes were hollow, her cheekbones sharper, like the bitterness she clung to had started to eat her from the inside out. She didn't speak. Her lawyer did. Talked about confusion, pressure, a mother's fear. He used words like complicated and misunderstood. But none of it stuck. The facts were immovable now. The DNA, the missed visits, the report, the breakdown, the truth. Grace spoke clean and clear. This child has a right to know her father. And more than that, she has a right to safety, consistency, and stability. We're not asking to take her away. We're asking to protect her from the kind of emotional damage that comes from years of deception. Then it was my turn. I stood up and didn't read anything. I don't want to erase her mother. I don't want to replace anyone. I just want to be her father. I want to give her what she was denied for the first 6 years of her life. And I'm ready to do that fully, with honesty, love, and whatever else she needs. The judge nodded. No grand speeches. No banging gavel. Just the order. Joint legal custody. Primary physical custody transferred to me. Effective in 30 days. Emily didn't cry. She didn't shout. She just sat there, stunned. Like for the first time, the world didn't bend to her rules. Savannah moved in the following month. It wasn't magical. It wasn't a movie. There were hard days. Days she asked why her mom was always angry. Days she sat quietly at the window with the dolphin plush in her lap and didn't say a word. But she stayed. And slowly, she began to laugh again. Eat without being asked twice. Ask questions that weren't laced with caution. And one night, a few weeks in, I found a new drawing on the fridge. For stick figures this time. Savannah, me, cat we didn't own yet, and Emily, but this time off to the side. Smaller, faded. Savannah came into the kitchen while I was looking at it. "I still love her," she said, "but I like it here better." I knelt down beside her. "You don't have to choose between love and peace." She smiled. "I know, but I'm glad you found me." I wrapped my arms around her. I'm glad you found me too. What I learned. People will rewrite history to make themselves sleep at night. They'll lie, they'll twist, they'll run. But truth doesn't go away. It waits, quietly, sometimes for years. If you're in a place like I was, if you've been lied to, betrayed, erased, don't let it become your identity. Fight, not for revenge, for truth, for healing, for what's yours.